The most dangerous sentence spoken in a declining church isn't, we can't afford that. It's, we've always done it this way. Ooh, let's get into it on the Church Revitalization Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Church Revitalization Podcast, brought to you by the Malphurs Group team, where each week we tackle important, actionable topics to help churches thrive. And now, here's your hosts, Scott Ball and A.J. Mathieu.
Welcome to the Church Revitalization Podcast. My name is Scott Ball. I'm joined by my friend and co-host, A.J. Mathieu. Pew, 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 pew.
And that's the way we always do it, Scott.
What? Do what?
The opening of the podcast.
Yeah.
Never changing, always consistent.
Why not? You know what? It's like a warm blanket. I got it. We've always done it this way.
The irony of the episode with the tradition of the podcast.
Okay, yeah, I was not picking up what you were putting down until just now. You know what? The thing is, there's not a reason to change it.
Well, that's a common objection. Let me face you with a little reality. We have to adapt to an ever-changing audience and
you know
times.
What? If there were a reason to change it, I would be the first one in line. You know, of all the people between the two of us, well, actually, neither of us are really change averse.
True, but you are more often or likely
I'm even
to
less change averse, than you. Yeah.
I'm just getting used to doing it the old ways when you're ready to change.
You know, you've surprised me some lately, though.
Have I?
Yeah,
Well.
Occasionally you do things and I'm like, why did you do that?
It doesn't sound like a positive change.
Well, no, it's just shoe on the other foot, right? Like I'm sure you feel that way all the time about me. You're like, what is he doing?
I gave up years ago. I just roll with it.
You know, something I'm learning is that constant change is not always good. It's, you just got to stick with some things for a while to see if they stick. And you know what? One thing we did stick to was this intro. So you know what? And it's working for us. So we'll just keep going for now.
Well, we've run it into the ground, so let's move on.
Yeah, you know what? Speaking of things that we've stuck to, the Healthy Churches Toolkit. That is a thing that has been around now for nigh on, how long now? A little over a year and something.
About a year and a half. Yes.
Yeah. Constantly upgrading and making better, but
Right. Can't say we've always done it that way with the toolkit. That's
no.
But
you know, with software, you don't want that to be the case. You want it to always be improving. So,
well, even on launch, when we launched in the fall of 2024, we said it was going to increase. It was always going to be getting better. And
always going to be getting better. And we've stuck to that promise.
With that. Yeah.
Yeah. So go to healthychurchestoolkit.com. Sign up free for 7 days. See what's new and interesting and better about that, which has so much good stuff in there. Speaking of other things you can stick to, you can stick these little stickers on the back of chairs that you can buy from tapconnect.church. How about that?
Love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Tapconnect.church. It's an opportunity for you to connect with guests and connect with the people who are regularly there at your church using NFC tap stickers that can point people to a designated web page that you can either build through Tap Connect or you could set a different link, maybe that you've set up somewhere else. But you can use this as a digital Connect card option for tracking new people as well as taking attendance. So go to tapconnect.church, sign up 10% off. Use code TMG10, TMG10, and save 10%.
That's cool. Yeah. You know, QR, do you know what QR stands for in the QR code?
Quick reader.
I think maybe that's right. I don't remember. I saw it this morning and I already forgot.
I thought you knew and you were quizzing me. Like, what?
I kind of was.
What was the point of you asking that question?
I never even thought about it being an abbreviation for something. And I saw that this morning and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I forgot what it meant. So I thought I would just bring it up for you. Maybe it's quick resource. Is it quick reader? I don't know.
Yeah. Quick response.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But you were like, do you know what it stands for? I thought you knew.
I knew 6 hours ago. I forgot since then.
The way you set that up, man, was like, what you asked it as if you knew. Oh gosh.
I was hoping you would be so fast to respond. I would go, that's right. That's exactly right.
I was, well, I was, yeah. You know what? Okay. All right. We've been 5 minutes in. Some of you have already left, but for those of you who are still with us, we're going to get into the topic today, which is, how do we deal with people who say, we can't do that. We've always done it this way. We cannot change this.
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk about, what is that objection really saying? Like, what is that unearthing? Who are the kinds of people who say this, and how can you respond to it? So we'll start with what are we?
You know what? I got to say this before I forget, because I will.
You're going to add something else to this introduction?
It was actually a movie. I think me and my wife watched a movie on television years ago, and I think the title of the movie is "We've Never Done It That Way Before," and it was about a church.
Oh,
and it was like
a movie.
Yeah. It was, somebody made a movie on this premise.
What are you watching? Was this like on?
It was like a made-for-TV movie.
Oh my gosh!
And I think, I don't know, somebody got shot in it or something. It was like, yeah, I'm serious. You have to look this up. If you're listening, look that up. It was this premise taken to an extreme. Yeah.
Like, we're gonna change our wealth. This is what are you watching?
It was a made-for-TV movie on at like 9:00 at night or something. We found it and watched it.
There must have been nothing else on.
Only a movie only a church consultant would hold on to for more than 5 minutes.
Oh my
gosh! All right. First point.
Okay.
We've got to understand what the real objection is. What's the thing behind the statement? We've never done it that way before. We've always done it this way. However they're phrasing it.
Yeah.
There's more to it. There's more to it than that.
Yeah.
And there's several things that phrase could be communicating. One or more things. First of all, a fear of loss. There's, especially people. I mean, we get it. Humans, we like comfort. We like predictability, path of least resistance. But, you get integrated into something. For many people, church is much like family. We don't want disruptions to our family. But this fear of loss, there could be an identity loss. There could be a loss of power. There could be a loss of community. Could be any number of things that the person uttering such a sentence might be internalizing for themselves. So, I mean, that's one of them, Scott.
Yeah.
Do you want to comment on these? Do you want me to run through them? You got something to say?
I'll just go to the next one. So yeah, I think fear of loss is definitely, it's listed number one for a reason. Like I think that really is it. It's like, what, if we do this different, then it may not feel the way this place will be different.
Yeah.
It won't be what I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really about the past. It's sort of like fear about what the future would look like if things were different. The second would be
assuming that it wouldn't be as comfortable. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll give a concrete example of this, because this is a common one that comes up in churches that are dealing with this. The moving to 2 services. Like we can't do that. Like if we will become 2 different churches. That's the fear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, I mean, we'll get into how to deal with that, how to confront those kinds of statements in a minute. But that's not really true. But you can understand the heart behind that. The heart behind that is, right now, I feel like I know people, or we have a certain culture in our church, and I'm just afraid that if we make this change, then it will shift the culture in our church. And so we tie a strategic thing to a value and go, if we change this strategy, it's going to shift our values. And that's not totally unfounded. I mean, sometimes that is true. And so you've got to maybe help discern that or interpret that a little bit. The second thing would be, and we'll talk about that.
Well, I think we would most likely teach your values. Probably if you establish right and good values to begin with, your strategy should be able to change without changing your values. But if it's been 10 years since you've done a values assessment and your strategies are changing and that changes your values, that might be a possible okay scenario, I suppose.
Sure. Yeah. And we'll talk about how to address these concerns here. That's the last thing we'll talk about. But
yeah.
But that's what's at it. The second thing would be distrust of leadership. Like, this is why when someone is new, they really shouldn't go in guns blazing. I don't know what happened in that movie you watched. Someone died.
I don't remember.
But
IMDb.
But you really shouldn't go in guns blazing and just start changing stuff, because, that people feel like we've always done it this way can sometimes be an expression of, you have not earned the right to be able to change this. There's a reason why this is done this way, and you can't just come in here and decide on day one you don't like it and you're going to change it.
Yeah.
And that's actually a somewhat valid statement. We've talked about this on the podcast before, but it's the idea of it's not an original idea. I can't remember which famous person said this, but so-and-so's fence. Someone's dying on the podcast right now, being like, it's so-and-so. But the idea that, before you tear down a fence, you should find out why it's there in the first place. And that's true. You should not just change things for the sake of change. And maybe until you really understand why it was there or why this process was there, you maybe shouldn't just totally eject on the thing.
Yeah. Then the third thing that somebody's saying, we've always done it this way, maybe communicating, is an absence of vision. You may not have at all or yet clearly enough communicated a future vision, the why behind the change, which you also just mentioned, Scott. If maybe there isn't a why, somebody is wanting to make a change just to do something new, and that's not a good reason. But you have to project a compelling picture of the future. Why is the change going to be better? Either in the near term or the long term, so that people will have an element of safety about it. I might be giving up something, but I might be gaining something better. So, Yeah. All right. So fear of loss, distrust of leadership, and an absence of vision, maybe one or more of those communicated within that "we've always done it this way" or "we've never done it that way" phrase.
Yep. All right. So then let's talk about who is saying it. Like, why? What are the kinds of people who say these things? Three types of objectors, because not everybody's coming at it from the same perspective. And I actually think it is helpful as the leader to sort of differentiate. When someone comes and says this, it's easy. Maybe you have sort of as we go through these three different types of people, you've got a bias and go, everyone is like this. Or maybe you think everybody is just trying to be negative or whatever. But people have different motivations. So the first one is a loyal traditionalist, someone who just sort of firmly believes this is the way it ought to be. This is the way we've always done it. And it kind of connects back to that fear of loss, where they're just like, we should not rock this boat. Something too bad could happen if we make this change. And so you kind of have to deal with that differently than maybe some of these other reasons.
Yeah. The next one would be the power protector, somebody that has some level of power. I don't know if you could say more commonly, excuse me, it's an informal authority, or people maybe that are even in leadership positions feel like that change perhaps is going to jeopardize them staying in a position of power. And sometimes that is the case. Maybe when a ministry is eliminated and there was a leader for it, that may be a difficult pill to swallow for some. So the power protector is one that you need to understand. So who, as you said, Scott, the point of view of the person that's expressing this concern, what do they have to lose in the change will help, understand maybe what they might be fighting for.
Yeah. I mean, the power player is a real thing. And so that's what I was trying to say. Like, sometimes I think maybe we just have a bias towards that and think everybody who has an objection, that's their perspective. That they're trying to be controlling, or they hate you, or they're trying to get you kicked out of the church. And sometimes it's not that. Sometimes it's fear, but sometimes it is that. Sometimes it is someone who they're the matriarch, they're the patriarch, they've been the chairman of the board for a long time. I worked with a church last year, AJ, that I'll try to be vague, but I mean, they grew really quickly, over a span of like 3 to 5 years, from a couple hundred of people to over 1,000.
Wow.
And which is a testimony to the great ministry that's happening there. But that required them, like there were certain processes and systems that they had in place at the deacon level, especially, but also the elder level, that just weren't sustainable for a church of 1,000 people. And some of the folks took real offense at the changes that needed to happen, and almost did put a moral lens on it, that the shifting of the processes was an abandonment of Scripture and immoral, maybe even illegal. I mean, like that aggressive, which wasn't true, but it felt true. Just on a purely objective level, because I don't have a dog in the fight. So I'm looking at this thing, I'm reading the Bible as I'm going like, there's no reason to think that what these people are accusing is true. There's no basis for this accusation. But I can understand it on a human level. I can understand how it was this way. We used to operate this way. I used to be able to participate, and now I can't. I used to be able to have a voice in this thing, and now I can't. Or we used to spend this money this way, but now we can't. Or we used to spend the thresholds were smaller. Well, when the budget's $200,000, the thresholds are going to be smaller. But when the budget's over $1 million, the thresholds have to change, because now everything you do costs more money. Everything costs more money. So, those kinds of things can be very difficult, and it's understandable that people would feel that way. But, and you got to deal with it pastorally, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. Man.
Rather than defensively. Don't get defensive. You know what I mean? Understand, empathize.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if it's a well thought out change, you've got plenty of defense.
Right.
So you don't need to be defensive. You can present reality.
Yeah.
The third one, that was still on the second one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. The Chronic Objector.
I got a lot to say, but at least it's not about some movie no one's watched.
But everybody's going to watch it now. The producers are like, I don't know what has happened. The spike in the downloads.
We've had 10 viewers of this movie.
You got to check it out.
We've doubled our audience.
Royalty checks, 13-cent royalty checks all around. The Chronic Objector. And we, unfortunately, probably know a lot of these people. And you know what? You probably don't want to spend a ton of your time on the Chronic Objector, because you likely can't convince them, but you just have to know who are we dealing with? If you're a newer pastor or leader in a church, you may not be aware. Maybe nobody's pulled you aside and they're like, we need to talk about Bill. But again, you can do your best, always with kindness, always pastorally dealing with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But, we sometimes have to move on beyond those that just complain about everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's temperamental, I don't mean that I mean that like some people just by temperament, they're like, I don't know. Someone who is, we talk about the disc a lot, but someone who is a C on the disc is almost, their reaction to everything is going to be no. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be the best thing in the world, and they're going to say no. Like, hey, Jesus is going to be at this place in the flesh. Should we go? I don't know. That's just, you know what I mean? They're not going to say yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Even if in their heart they want to. It's like they can't. They're like, I cannot possibly say yes to this thing.
Yeah.
They will eventually, though. I mean, that's the thing. You have to go like, someone who is a C on the disc, you just have to give, like, you got to make the case. You're like, here, and show that you aren't just doing something on a whim. Here's the plan. Here are the steps. Here's why we're doing this. Here's how we're going to get there. Here's how much it's going to cost. All of those things. Then they can go, oh, I can see that you aren't just running us into the ground. Okay, I'm willing to trust you on this. But you they're going to say no.
Years later, they will have gotten used to it, and they'll object to the next change.
You're not wrong. That's exactly right. Yeah. And then there's those people who always say no because they're afraid of someone's feelings. That's the S on the disc. They're like, have we thought about how this is going to impact so-and-so?
Yeah.
Have we thought, and they get stuck in just that, like, we can't do this because this will hurt so-and-so's feelings, or this might hurt this group's feelings. And they're just not able to say yes to something if it would cause emotional harm to even one person.
Right.
And you can't lead that way, because there's not any decision that you're going to want to make that's worth making that's not going to hurt someone, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe it won't hurt anybody, but the potential for harm is there in any change.
Yeah.
And so you cannot make a decision based on, could this cause harm?
Mm-hmm.
Emotional harm. I don't mean actual harm.
Right. Not like the movie.
Not like the movie. Might I recommend to you this movie where somebody dies? Did they die or did they just get shot?
I don't remember.
What's the name of this movie?
I think it was
Why
called.
you tee up the next thing? I might be Googling.
I think it was We've Never Done It That Way Before. Something like that. Search.
I bet it's not even on. I bet it's not even on IMDb.
Maybe not. All right, you do that. All right.
Okay.
Our third point is responding. What kind of response can we have whenever this type or this nature of objection comes up? And so, first of all, we want to validate, not capitulate. So how can we validate? We can affirm that, this way that we have done it, maybe for a long time, did serve us very well. It really led our ministry well for a long time. But the reality might be that, times have changed, people have changed, hairstyles have changed, and we just have to do something differently. And we can, talk about the wins that it had and what it accomplished. And you probably, if you've decided to make that change, you're probably, the evidence to be able to, validate likely won't be, even last week we had 3 people come to Christ because of this thing. No, you're probably talking, the last time that we had that amazing result was 2 years ago. And it really started to taper off after that. So validating their perspective on it is a helpful way, to build bridges and to try to to woo someone along into change. And it's just a way of honoring the past and, but not being held hostage to it. Let's validate it. Let's understand it. Let's honor it. But let's leverage it now for something greater. So step 1.
Right. Step 2
did you find a result on the movie, Scott?
I think you might have dreamed this movie. You'll have to ask your wife.
Okay.
But I think you invented this.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a dream you had. You know what? Might I just say to any prospective filmmakers out there, do not make that film. Save your money. Step 2, connect the proposed changes to the Great Commission, not just to strategy. So go back to the fundamental thing. So going to step 1, hey, this thing that we did in the past, let's take something like door-to-door evangelism.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, we started doing door-to-door evangelism because we're a Great Commission church, and we really care about reaching the lost with the good news about Jesus. And there was a time when we lived in a society where people wanted to answer their doors. But today in 2026, when they see you coming on their Ring doorbell, they do not recognize your face, and they pretend that they're not home. That's what happens. No one wants to answer the door, and they don't have to open the door to see who you are. They can look on their phone. So going is a waste of time, and it doesn't accomplish the mission. But we do care about the Great Commission here, and so we're going to do fill-in-the-blank strategy. And we have to, in order to do this well, we have to stop doing the door-to-door evangelism thing so that we have both the energy and the resources and the people and the attention focused on this new thing that we're doing. Does that make sense? So we're acknowledging what we did and why we did it and why it was good at the time.
Mm-hmm.
We're staying rooted in the mission, what it is that we're about, and then we're showing why this is a better way forward to accomplish the thing that we wanted to accomplish when we were doing the old thing.
Yeah.
That's step 2.
That is good. Before we get to step 3, Scott, the title of the movie is 7 Deadly Words Seven Deadly Words. It's a 2013 Christian drama based on a true experience. And the phrase, the Seven Deadly Words, we've never done it that way before. So if you want to check that out, Seven Deadly Words came out in 2013.
Someone had some church hurt.
It says
And
based on
they were
true
like, I'm going to make a
experiences.
movie about this. I got to make a movie about this.
It follows Pastor Evan Bennett as he attempts to revive a stagnant, struggling church only to face resistance from tradition-bound members. Not a sponsor of the podcast, but could it be better? I think not.
Roll the clip. Roll the clip. No, I'm just kidding. Just joking.
You got to check that out. You got to see this movie. All right. Step 3, our response to these 7 deadly words. Create small early wins. And I mean, this is a good strategy for, change management in the church, in regardless of whether there's objection or not. Roll things out incrementally. You don't need to blow everything up and then have something brand new next Monday morning. Don't try to change everything at once. So let's plan the attack, plan the implementation strategy. If you want to use some Malphurs Group, Healthy Churches Global language, and start to build momentum, start to show maybe, how non-threatening this might actually be. And then let's celebrate some early wins. We use the phrase low-hanging fruit a lot of times when we're implementing new strategies and making changes. We can do things that perhaps, a broad spectrum of people will find encouraging or beneficial, and work your way through that strategically. So I can see you over there reading. You're checking that movie out.
Sorry, did you see the IMDb rating on this movie?
No.
It's a 4.5 out of 10. Well, you know what? That's almost halfway.
I think those people are just complaining because they didn't want to watch a movie with a different title and theme to it. So those were just chronic objectors, not open to change.
This feels like a movie that would be on like a Mystery Science Theater 3000. Like just getting totally roasted.
It's definitely on one of those high number channels. You know
what? It kept your attention. Did you watch it start to finish?
I don't remember if we came in right at the beginning. I don't think we planned to watch it. We came across it and we're like, what is going on here? And
then you couldn't find the remote.
I didn't. What did it say? It came out in 2013. We saw it later than that, but I don't know. I mean, you and I've been doing this.
It's got a 38% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay. All right.
And it says, Google says you can watch it for free on Tubi and Roku channel. So,
okay.
There you go.
All right. So, I mean, anyone can rewind this episode. I don't think I ever said it was the best movie ever made. I just said it existed.
I would love to send someone on assignment to watch this film and report back to us what they think about it.
Well, it really ought to be you at this point. I've seen it.
I don't want to. I've seen this film in action for 10 years.
That's right.
Working with the Malphurs Group.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we talked about this as a common objection. People are change a lot. Most people probably in the church have some level of adversity to change. Adversity, is that the right word? Aversity to change. And there's various reasons behind it. We need to understand what those are. We need to understand who it is that is putting up this objection so that we understand, from a human standpoint and an intellectual standpoint, emotional standpoint, where are they coming from? And then just deal with it. Just deal with it in a most appropriate way. And all of this assuming that you have done a good job of developing a new strategy with good reasons. And therefore, it'll be something that you're going to want to press forward with. So there you go. Scott, they could probably get a free account in the Healthy Churches Toolkit and have resources that can help them put together a good plan for making changes in the church. Definitely. I think that's possible.
They should do that. They should go to healthychurchestoolkit.com and sign up for that. Yeah. And you know what? Check out 7 Deadly Words. I was just checking out the dove.org rating on, I have to warn you that the word tramp is used one time. So,
all right. So it's a little racy.
A little racy.
Yeah.
And the husband and wife do passionately kiss.
Uh-oh.
So,
and somebody gets shot. I just got to warn you about that.
Wow. I mean, spoiler. So, actually, I don't think that's true.
Is it not a shot? Not a gunshot? I could have sworn it was.
Well, according to dove.org, a man attempts to shoot a pastor.
Oh, okay. It was an attempted deadly assault. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Well, good. So you can check that out on your own time. And until that happens, we will be back with you next week on the Church Revitalization Podcast. Thanks for being with us, everybody, and we'll see you then.